Hello, everybody. Morning away from the again, as always, and as usual. I am really quickly going to cover the personality of Gilles de Rais. Now, Gilles de Rais was, as again the Wikipedia section says, a knight and lord from Brittany, Anjou, and Patois, leader in the French army during the Hundred Years' War and a companion in arms of Joan of Arc. He is best known for his reputation and later conviction as a confessed serial killer of children. Now, you can find this video labeled "The Hero Noble Who Collected 800 Children's Heads." You can find it linked in the description of this video as well as at the end screen. It is a bit long in the sense that it's like 45 minutes rounded off long, but still watch it if it interests you that much. And for those of you that do know who Gilles de Rais is, quite a well-known French figure, one of the most iconic, I want to say, because even I recognize and remember his name. Um, Now, what interested me is like the aforementioned video I showed you guys said, as well what I said regarding that video, as well as here is that, he was a nobleman, he had a great reputation, very ambitious, blah, blah, blah. And then later on, things went downhill, and yeah, he turned into a serial killer of children, allegedly. And in this video, shortly summarized, it is explained that he had an interest in the occult, and he essentially tried summoning demons by using the blood of attractive children or children that were fair in complexion and skin tone and blah blah blah. So beautiful children. And at the end of the video, I do disagree with that part, but I'll get to that because at the end of the video, I think the last 5 minutes approximately, it is said that modern historians that essentially revised, or I mean, essentially looked up the case and whatnot, found a lack of credibility and inconsistencies, etc. So, in the last 5 minutes, it's essentially said that the guy was a political target and that it downplays what is initially mentioned, that in actuality, the guy was not a thingy, serial killer of children or anything like that, that it was essentially framed or that there were some crimes that he committed and or the fact that there were some crimes he committed but that it was overblown and he wasn't as bad as they say they were in regards to the whole serial killer of children, etc. Well, that's where I disagree with the video because guess what, I have his natal chart and here you go. Not literally his natal chart, but the constellation under which he was born, denoting his personality as well as obviously the manifestation of his personality, which made up his life. So, yeah, let's get started. Right off the start, you see a lot of stuff in Scorpio. And people that, generally speaking, have strong Scorpio influences are known for cruelty. Not at this scale of what he was convicted of, but people in general are cruel that have strong Martian, specifically Scorpio-based influences. Not to mention the fact that Mars is positively aspected a lot of this stuff here, including the ascendant being ruled by Scorpio. So yeah, I'm just going to give you a quick breakdown. Second house ruled by Jupiter. The moon is conjunct the second house. The moon is in Scorpio. It says that yes, he did indeed he was indeed wealthy and well off. Again, everything you see here in Scorpio, all of these asteroids, including the moon, especially in his first house when he was born, including the ascendant, like I said, confers cruelty. It confers dealing with money, but also cruelty, brutality, essentially. And the aspect with Mars also indicates warfare. But that's a given based on the time era he was born in. He was involved in warfare, a skilled fighter, but again, a fighter with a knack for cruelty and also coerciveness, etc., etc. Battle hardened and quite determined. Pluto is in Aquarius going retrograde in the third house, which stands for the fact that he was quite corrupt. He used his power and influence to evade the law. Um, and what else can I show you that is interesting? Yeah, the alleged thingies, what they claim to be alleged, as in they downplayed it. Wrong, because his chart conveys that he did indeed do all of those brutal things. The pot of fortune in Pisces in the fourth house, and the fact that it's aspected the moon, and Jupiter being in Cancer in Scorpio's house, the eighth house, conjunct the ninth house, so the house of Sagittarius, indicates that he did have a strong interest in the occult. And here we have Saturn in the fifth house and Neptune is going retrograde. Both of them are in Aries. And especially Saturn is heavily afflicted because Saturn is in Leo's house. Saturn, as the ruler of Capricorn and Aquarius, the latter, rules over the 11th house, has the weakest position of being in Cancer and in Leo. And here it's in Leo's house, so the fifth house. That indicates, even the degree indicates this. 1 degree in Aries stands for aggression, and it's Saturn, bad boy Saturn, indicating cruelty towards children. And Neptune hits the nail on the head even further because it's going retrograde. It's heavily afflicted, which indicates, again, incredible cruelty towards children. And these two are positively aspected Venus in Libra's house, so the seventh house, and Uranus. Indicating, and Venus is in Gemini, indicating that he did indeed seek out children that were fair in complexion and whatnot, as well as the fact that the eighth house is ruled by Gemini, and these two are also aspected, and Venus and Uranus are here. Indicating again everything I said that is mentioned in the video. Just watch the video first, I recommend, and then you can come back and either watch this or continue to watch this so that you can get a good overview of it all. But it's up to you, obviously. Again, it indicated that he did indeed torture these children, and after that, he just killed them. He just used them for his thingy purposes, his occult purposes. And these children were indeed, they were supposed to be pretty, essentially attractive, had a bunch of physical features that were essentially of unblemished nature. You name it, fairness. The emphasis laid on fairness. Fair, fairness, so beauty. That's why you see Venus being so strong here. And yeah, what else can I say for the rest? His cruel death, the fact that he was hanged and then his body was burnt, and then allegedly they removed it and then gave him a proper burial with what was left. That is also indicated because Mercury is opposed Pluto, and Mercury is here in Leo. In the ninth house, it stands purely for what he was executed and that the court system dealt with him. By default, Mercury opposed Pluto stands for a gruesome death under, and the rest indicates the circumstances, you know. So yeah, nothing that I haven't already said. Um, yeah, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, this confirms black and white that Gilles de Rais did indeed do everything that he was thingied of, he was suspected of and trialed for. So again, I disagree with the last 5 minutes of the video that I shared with you guys. Okay, those modern researchers can go bluntly put fuck themselves because it's not true. Gilles de Rais did indeed do all of those things. Just because there were inconsistencies and whatnot doesn't mean that he didn't do those things, you know. I have an open mind, but those researchers were most likely biased and they simply found what they essentially were looking for, um, because they simply thought that he was just another victim of the whole political power play game that plays, especially in medieval times. I mean, up to present day even, but especially back in medieval times where people, noblemen and women, would fucking execute each other or get executed over things that weren't true. They slandered each other, smeared each other, and so on and so forth. But again, in Gilles de Rais' case, it's absolutely true. He did indeed do all of those cruel things to children and everything. The only thing I am not entirely sure about is if he tried summoning demons for supernatural powers, specifically demons. Because with the moon being in Scorpio, the strong Scorpio influence, the part of fortune being in Pisces, and Jupiter being in Scorpio's house, I would say it's possible either necromancy, but with the strong Martian influence as well. By the way, Mars is in Virgo in the 10th house, quite strong. Simply stands for strong ambition and position of stature, craftsman, being good at what he does, blah, blah, blah. And also bribing officials. That's why Mars is like aspect to the 7th house, but it's at its weakest because it's Taurus. Um, I would say, yeah, he tried summoning demons, but more malevolent entities, not necessarily demons, but more malevolent entities, essentially evil spirits. Let's just say that, not necessarily demons. Evil spirits is the best way to phrase it. in exchange for power and whatnot. That's why Mars is also here in exchange for more power and influence and everything. So that's it with Gilles de Rais. Bye bye.